Let's go.
We can talk about it, but all talking is cheap. Cause the last word is me. The last word is me. We can talk about it, but you ain't beating me. Cause the last word is me. The last word is me.
Yeah, I know.
The last word is me. The last word is me. The last word is me.
Say what?
The last word is me. The last word is me. The last word is me.
Can you believe that, man?
The last word.
Yeah, that's right. You got it. Last word. We have got to talk about this. We got belts everywhere. The NBA Finals is now over, and would you believe they brought home the gold? It is a Denver Nuggets, like we predicted, going home with the belts, titles, 5-1 gentleman's sweep. Can you believe this? Jamal Murray has now cemented his name in the greatest book of all time, of course, on Canadian soil. The greatest Canadian of all time, Jamal Murray, you deserve the Eagle Wings, the Hulk Hogan championship belt. The first ever Canadian to lead his team was a duel to a championship. Steve Nash, false pretending. Because the Denver Nuggets have pulled off the unthinkable. They are now the NBA champs. You, my friend, had a lot to say.
Yes.
And I'm going to give you an opportunity to swallow your words. So I'm going to give you a word after I've said all my congratulations to the Denver Nuggets because you guys did a fine job. You have some words that you'd like to say. I see you have your AEW belt there to symbolize some kind of winning championship of something. But these are all my belts. I predicted the Denver Nuggets, and we are now surrounding ourselves in gold. Any words?
Just a quick flashback because I don't know if it's my memory that's fading and struggling here, or because I recall you after making the mistake of disrespecting Jimmy Butler, Jimmy I am. What happened to your belief in Jimmy Butler? You're the one who told me that Jimmy Butler would be able to will Miami to a championship. And the fact that you disrespected him last round and changed your pick from Boston to Miami, which did work out.
Oh, it did. Let him talk.
But somehow that belief, that unseen, unmatched belief in Jimmy Butler, a.k.a. Jimmy Jordan. What happened to that?
Number one,
what happened
it's not
to Jimmy
Jordan. It is
the
Jimmy.
flashing of the ring.
Yeah.
I believe in Jimmy.
I did.
He's going to take them. Jimmy's going to, what was it? He's going to conjure up that inner Michael Jordan and bring them to the championship. What happened?
Think about it. Jimmy B's spirit resurrected from the depths of Michael Jordan's heart. And here they are. They're getting themselves into gear to take this title. Like, I know it's hard to fathom. It's hard to believe. But guess what? The Miami Heat are in the finals.
Yeah.
Johnson,
You let me know when you're done.
You've given all praise to the Greek freak. Like, when does Jimmy get some respect? Because what I'm hearing from you is a whole lot of disrespect. Come on, just give it to him.
Coming from the guy with the championship ring on his finger.
Hey, you know it is.
I would expect that you, of all people, would be saying the respect cometh when the title cometh.
What?
All right? Would you be sitting here talking about Jordan and everything is equated to Jordan, but yet we want to put a guy on a pedestal for making to a finals? That sounds absolutely bizarre.
Okay. Well, it's plain and simple. Like I
from
said,
that to, we both predicted.
Like
I don't
said,
believe so.
earlier when the Miami Heat was facing the Boston Celtics, I let you get in my head. And of course, I told you I selected the Boston Celtics to win the series at the beginning, but that was only because I let you get in my head. Thought about it. Did a little research, and I said, you know what? No, there's no way that Miami's going home to these Boston Celtics. And what did I do? I changed my pick, came home. The Miami Heat became the Eastern Conference champions, and they went on to the finals. Now, of course, you want to say that I caused or called Jimmy Butler's name and I said, oh, he's a new champ. He's going to win this. And you know what? I did give Jimmy Butler's accolades, but if you could go back at the start of this series, I said maybe Jimmy Butler, in his greatness, can win one game on his own. But it would take a team effort, and I didn't see the team. I mean, this is where the Caleb Martins, the Vincents, and the Strutes, and the Robinsons, they showed their true colors. They are not real.
That's fine and dandy, all this sugarcoating you're doing here. But what happened to Jimmy Butler?
Well, Jimmy, let me
Because
know.
he clearly wasn't the same player that he was from, at least from, again, the Boston series, he had his moments. Wasn't the same. The New York series, again, he was playing special, and... Hey, you put it to me all the time. I was disrespecting Jimmy Butler. Well, I wasn't disrespecting Jimmy Butler. I was disrespecting the Miami Heat. And the fact that you look at that roster, and that roster is lacking. Again, these guys have their moments. You're Caleb Martin, Mr. He could be a third star. I'm sure you want to probably strike that comment from the records. Okay. But it is what it is. It's come to fruition that eventually a lack of talent will show. Okay. And especially when you're going up against a team that has a starting five that has no real weak link, right? When you're looking at your fifth option as KCP, who is, again, a champion with the Lakers, so you had a guy with that experience, right? A guy who who wasn't gonna shrink in the big moments and clearly knows his role amongst that squad. So. And a name you mentioned already, Bruce Brown, who comes in with a confidence and an aura that many teams would be dying to have that type of player on, especially in these important, toughest moments of the season. Right. So, with that being said, well, what happened to Jimmy Butler?
Jimmy Butler simply couldn't answer the call. Jimmy Butler simply does not have the Jordan DNA in his veins. Jimmy Butler has simply exposed himself to the rest of the world, and he is not a champion. He is not Michael Jordan's son. He is not an MVP. He is not a Hall of Famer. As a matter of fact, Jimmy Butler, you might go down as a mini Karl Malone, a mini Charles Barkley, a mini Patrick Ewing. What do those three guys have in common? Yes, they're all Hall of Famers. Oh, yeah, they're all Hall of Famers, but they're all ringless. They're all without the gold. So let me tell you something, Jimmy. It's just not good enough to make the finals. Not once, not twice. It's just not good enough to claim yourself the Eastern Conference champions. What is good enough is when you have your opponent down and you trample down on their throats and you say, you're not getting up, you're done for, and I'm going to raise the eagle wings above my head as a champ. Jimmy, this is a dream for you. Jimmy, you'll never be a champion, at least not as a 1, definitely not a 2, possibly a 3. So what's the next step for Jimmy? What's the next respect for Jimmy? No. You told me something.
I never at any point sat and
you told me something. You said you talking about this, but you said something. We only respect rings and titles around here. And I gravitated to that word and I understood it. Mm-hmm. We only respect rings around here, Jimmy. So it's not real disrespect, but we got to throw some disrespect. It was a sweep. You know what I knew the writing was on the wall? DeAndre Jordan was playing in the first quarter of the game, and it was over. DJ got on the court, smiling, running around and saying, well, you know what? We're winning a title tonight. Jimmy, you didn't show up. Bam, I didn't see you. Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, 6.8 on his contract.
Is this not the problem? The fact that, look at the names you just mentioned. Would we be mentioning those names amongst any other real competitive championship-like squad? Would we be looking towards guys like Caleb Martin and Gabe Vince and anticipating that they come up big in the most important and crucial games of the year? We would never.
We'd
be crazy if we were calling those names.
I can only say this. They went up against the Milwaukee Bucks, which was probably the favorite to come out of the East.
Yeah, with their best player injured for multiple games.
They sat them down. That's what they did.
Giannis was out for 2+ games. Come on.
He was there for the rest. And they lost miserably. Then Miami goes on to face the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle didn't really have an answer, and that was we all knew that series over before it even started. But then they go into Boston. Boston just comes out of the series with Philly, and it was one of those 7-game series that it could have gone either way, but Boston ended up coming on top. So when Boston faces Miami, you're looking at the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. And I know you're calling names like Caleb Martins and Vincent's, and you're not giving them the respect that they deserve, but they did handle Boston, they handled Milwaukee, and they threw away the New York Knicks. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go by the names that you're calling and say, well, they're not stars. Stars or not, they beat your stars, and they sent them home fishing early. So if you don't want to give them the respect because their names are not being paid as handsomely as the other guys, fine. James Harden, the Chris Pauls, are you going to expect those names to bring you to the promised land next year? Or do you want some grit? Do you want some warriors that'll go for battle with you, like the Caleb Martins that they dream about it, but they just came across a Canadian and a Serbian that says, hey, that's not going to happen today.